ITRBoxing. You heard it here first. Pretty cool videos. And I heard they're also in HD. ITRBoxing.
It was something I didn't know I was going to be the authority at the time. I was a past boxer in the late 70s. And years later, I checked to see what the internet had on my past, and I found that the history wasn't there on the net, and so I decided to have a history-based website, and that's where it started. And then a funny thing happened. As soon as I went on the net, I had all the current fighters contacting me and saying, hey, this is going on, and that was going on, and before I knew it, I was a little bit of an advocate for females, the pros, and then it grew into the amateurs, so then it ended up being a history site, but also covering the latest with pros and amateurs. And it just grew over the 21 years.
The most memorable moment of my career, there's so many. You know, probably being the Grand Marshal for the International Boxing Hall of Fame parade back in 1996, because I'm a boxing, I love boxing. I'm not really a historian, but like to meet guys like Archie Moore, Carmen Basilio, Gene Fulmer, you know, the list goes on and on. Ken Norton, those guys were all at the Hall of Fame. So to get to meet them was really something special for me. So that's probably the biggest standout of the memories.
My very first belt, I won it from Vicky Woods, who I had a draw to and lost to, and it was the first mark of the fact that I had finally learned how to fight. I was now a legitimate fighter.
The most memorable moment in my whole career was when I won the WBA Super Welterweight title. I was the lightweight champion. I moved up 3 weight classes for that fight. And I took on undefeated Noni Tenge in her hometown in South Africa. I won by knockout, which was totally unexpected. I was smaller than her. We're fighting in her home country, and if it goes to a decision, I'm not going to win. So to get out of there with the victory and the belt was just incredible. And you know, the whole crowd went quiet. You know, it was one of those moments that I'll never forget. The electricity was there when we walked to the ring, and when I knocked her out, it went like a hush over the crowd. It was eerie, you know?
Because I had an up and down career as a fighter, but back when I went in, you know, I was way older, and then, you know, in my era, a lot of girls went straight in the pros, and people, you know, gripe about why weren't women's fights, you know, why weren't they shown on television, that kind of thing, because the competition was poor, there was not a lot of skill, but the reason is there were so few women fighters out there. We just, you know, we had to make something happen, and you know, we wanted to fight, but there just wasn't a lot out there. We didn't really have a lot of good training, and we didn't have any amateur background hardly at all. So, you know, now things are changing. You know, there's a lot going on. I mean, for me, my career was a up and down, but I still became a champion. I still got inducted, and as a trainer now, that's where I can set my path, because at this point, I've had 20 years in boxing. So where I missed an amateur career and had to go into the pros, now I can say I learned it all, and I'm ready to push it on to the next group of men and women that I train. So I say I want to be inducted as a trainer next. So I consider myself one of the best female boxing trainers. I would say, I mean, of course, winning my world title, getting into the Hall of Fame, those were huge for me. And I had one of my male fighters that just won his first championship. That was huge. You know, opening my gym was huge. I've got a few milestones along the way, but to me, I'm just so not finished that it's hard to answer that question, because I've got a lot more to do, and I want to make a lot more waves.
Well, it was still the first time I won the title in Germany against Susie Kintikian, who won the WBO and the Iwbhf, and it just was such an upset that it was just a great moment for me.
WBC world title, the belt, the green belt. I don't have the green belt, but I got the pink belt today because I forgot to bring the big one. But that was an amazing feeling when I won it. We did it right here in the Bay Area for the first time, so it was incredible. Doing it in my hometown with my people, my family and friends, so it was amazing. It was I will never forget that. And then after what came after that, it was just beautiful. It was beautiful, and now look at me, the Hall of Fame.
Well, you know, I am the author of A History of Women's Boxing, and I think for me, during the research of the work itself, was realizing that there was this continuity of the sport literally from the 1720s to the Olympics in 2012, which is kind of when my timeline in my book pretty much ended. So that was extraordinary. I would probably say the second thing has been the experience of these events. I went to the first one in 2014. I was able to address the audience about the history of the sport and was then able to have the honor of introducing certain of the fighters. And to actually meet a fighter like Lucia Riker or Christy Martin, who've been so pivotal to the legitimation of the sport of women's boxing in the modern era, was truly inspiring and something that, you know, just for me personally, made me realize that all of the work I've done to document the history was really worthwhile.
I think it was the night that I won the championship by a TKO. I couldn't believe it, but I'm very, very happy about it.
Most memorable when I made the first USA women's boxing team.
My greatest memory is winning my first world title, because when you first start out, even as an amateur, that's what you work for. Your goal is to become a world champion, so when I won my first title, I knew I accomplished what I wanted. Then I went on to win 2 more, but...
Sheesh, it's hard to say. It's really, really hard to say which fight. I guess the first fight I ever saw in person, when I saw Wendy Rodriguez, who's being ironically inducted into the Hall of Fame today. I happened to see her fight. Hers was the first fight I ever saw in person. And it was because of watching her fight that I became captivated and said, I'm going to find out more about them. I had seen it on TV with Christy Martin, but to see it in person is a whole different story. And that's what really brought me into it.
Okay, well thank you.
Thank you.
Number 1, I fought Corinna Moreno on ESPN back in the 1990s, and I lost that fight and I asked for the rematch, and I never got it. So I went back to Corinna's gym, and I told her I wanted to spar her, and she had all the media there, and I didn't even know it, but I got 2 rounds with her, and she beat me up again. That was one of them. Second was the WBC title when we went to Mexico, and Martha, we fought really for women's boxing, and it was great because she made the comeback, and even though she lost that fight, it was a huge opportunity for us. And I would say the third would be having Melissa McMorrow come into the gym and work with all the girls, and she helped build champions, because if it wasn't for her, Lupe Gutierrez wouldn't be where she's at. Corinna Moreno made her comeback because she sparred her. You have all these girls that won the nationals because of her, and I think that every single time we were in the gym there together, that was a great moment for me.